Welcome back to Sampstra Games, the place to find new strategy games, and welcome to my all-objective complete guide where I tell you how to complete the objectives for the Blitzkrieg DLC. Today we'll focus on the Polish plane. Welcome to the tactics window where I'll tell you how to do the Polish plane. So first thing to notice about this particular objective is that it's behaving a bit strangely. For example, you need to take Bzura before Lodz. Even though Bzura is further, you need to take Lublin, which is here, before Radom or Warsaw. So you're going to immediately see that this is not like a typical objective where you're kind of pushing your army forward step by step. No, this is a different one. What they're trying to teach you in these games is zone of control and how to bypass it. So let me actually show this. Okay, let's assume you have a unit, enemy unit here. Okay, and they have a zone of control, this whole area. And the way the zone of control works is that if you step into a zone of control, you can't in the same turn step out. Okay, and you can't move within the zone of control. So if you step into any of these hexes, you need to stay there. The next turn, you can either move out of the zone of control or within the zone of control, but not both. Or one step within the zone of control, okay? So this is important so you can sort of use your units to block the enemy, right? But there is a way to bypass it. So let me change the color. If I have my own unit here and another unit here, then I can grab a third unit, and the third unit could, for example, starts here. It could move through here. So it will sort of pass the zone of control if there are other units of mine standing there. Essentially, you can imagine that these other two units, these two blue ones, they are occupying the enemy while the third unit kind of runs behind them forward. Okay, so you can use that to bypass the zone of control, and this map is very much about that. You're going to be losing your infantry and some of your mobile units to sort of be blocking the enemy zone of control and trying to sort of sneak through some of the other units because you have to get to Bzura very, very quickly. So you're going to need to be pushing your mobile units as much as possible. The second thing you'll need to focus on this game is supplies. So the way the supply works is that the enemy is gaining the supply here from Warsaw. So all of these railways is going to be super important. For example, if you're standing on Bzura, you will be able to unsupply Lodz. Also, the same thing is here about Krakow. Krakow is supplied from the bottom here and from the top. So if you can block both of these, you will be able to unsupply Krakow. Okay, so let me actually tell you what the tactics is. So now, because this is a really big map, you will need to really make sure that you are controlling the railway. So for example, even though normally I would suggest to unsupply the unit here in Katowice, just kind of surround it, go here and here, you actually can't do that in this map because you need to control the railways to make sure that the mobile units they're kind of sneaking to very far forward will remain supply. So what's the tactic? Destroy the unit in Katowice as fast as possible. Then you have some units down here. You're going to be trying to move them to this railway to unsupply Krakow. First of all, you can use this ability. This allows you to destroy the bridge, which will make another unsupplied. So on the end of first turn, you want to use this to destroy this bridge. And then another one of your units, usually a tank, should move somewhere here so that you could unsupply Krakow. And then on the end of turn 2, you'll have a unit that will be standing somewhere here and another one that's standing somewhere here, so Krakow will be unsupplied. And then with Krakow, you're just going to wait till turn 4, where the unit that's going to be standing there will have no active units. Every unit will be suppressed. No active step. Every step will be suppressed. And then you can just take it. So Krakow is going to be very easy. Turn 4 for free. Up until turn 4, you have to really hurry with all your mobile units to get towards Bzura. You should be able to get Bzura at the end of turn 3 or 4. Then you'll focus on Lodz. Lodz is a little bit easier because first of all, it will already be unsupplied once you have Bzura, so you will be able to take it. If you do any damage, they won't be able to sort of resupply themselves, so you can easier kill them. And then you're going to be focusing on, with the units that you have up here, you'll be focusing on Warsaw and Radom. Now, as soon as you sort of take over this step here with Krakow, you want to take at least one tank, maybe a tank and a motorized unit, and start moving towards Lublin, which is here, because you need to take it on turn 5, and it's actually quite difficult to get there fast enough, so you want to keep that in mind from the beginning and try to get there as soon as you can. Then your HQ, what you're going to be doing with your HQ is you're going to move it from the beginning down towards here so that it can help you out with the units that are down there. So let me So I've explained how to take all of these units. So Krakow you will unsupply, Bzura you need to hurry, Bzura and Lodz you need to hurry towards with your mobilized units. Once you take over Bzura and Lodz, you will be focusing on Radom and Warsaw, and you need to have that 1 or 2 tanks or motorized unit to take over Lublin. So we've got Lvov and Przemysl. So let me switch the map to show you how to handle that. So we need to focus on Lvov and Przemysl. So, and the units that you're going to have used to take over Krakow, you're going to be moving them down here. You want to use some infantry and ideally some tanks, or even better, the German motorized units. And you will move your HQ down. Because you will have your HQ down here, you will be able to use things like feint attacks to take over Przemysl. You can unsupply Przemysl if you step on this railway. And obviously you'll be also stepping on this railway. That will unsupply them, so any sort of suppression of their step is going to be useful for you because they can't resupply back. Lvov is usually empty, so you just need to find a unit that can just step there in time. Now in the scenario that I'm going to be showing you, I finished this all by turn 8. Alright, so let's begin. Okay, so we're going to be doing this one in the history mode, otherwise it would take forever. So first thing we do is we're going to remove a lot of the supply hubs. So if you actually check out the supply here, you can see that all of our area is supplied. We're going to be changing the supply. So let me actually show you what we do. So we remove this one and that one. We add additional supply to here. So we have this whole area supplied except for this particular hex. Then we move the supply hub that was here to there. So as you can see in the next step, it's just removed. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to increase steps for this unit and that unit. And then we're going to give some recons and untimed armor and armor to different units. Okay, let me just fix the volume because this is way too loud. As you can see, we're adding like anti-armor for that unit, for those units. Then we move to HQ. That was it for the battle preparation. Now, at the beginning of this turn, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do some airstrike in this area. The idea is that if possible, you would like to push forward and move this unit forward to there as well to try to block this path so that you could unsupply Krakow. We didn't actually succeed in that, so it's going to take us a few more turns to do that, but you might try. With these other 2 units, you want to focus on attacking this enemy unit so we can break through there. Alright? Now, next thing we're going to need to do is we need to destroy this unit in Katowice, because if you look at the supply, I'm going to show it to you on the enemy supply. The way this works is that the enemy the supply is moving to the supply railways, obviously, right? So if they're standing in Katowice, even if you can go around them, you cannot move your supply to this railway because you do not have it fully connected, neither to this railway. So you actually have to destroy Katowice, and you have to do it pretty quickly. So as you're going to see, we're going to start moving with our infantry. You want to make sure that you mostly use infantry where you can for this. I'm using feint attacks here to lower their suppression. And don't waste too many of your mobile units for this because you're going to need them to push elsewhere. So I have to use this German motorized unit, but I at least can move forward with the other ones. I'm using the tank again, and I'm going to move forward with the tank. So you can use it if you can move forward. Now notice that I'm keeping the tank on the railway. That's for multiple reasons. I want to keep it supplied, but I also want to make sure that I have own the hexes next to the railway. Next, you're going to move upwards. The strategy here is you want to start moving with your infantry or with mobile units that are kind of in the back so that you can push forward. Because the way this scenario works is it kind of forcing you to move very quickly. You need to take Bzura before Lodz, and then you're going to need to take Lublin, which is very, very far. So your idea is going to be to try to work through zone of control, like I explained the tactics window. But right now the strategy is try to take the units that are in the back or the infantry to push forward, figure out where the enemy is, and then use your mobile units to try to get as forward as possible. You might be more successful than me in this particular round. I didn't do that well, but I tried. So this is, but I wanted to show you. I thought about redoing it, but I figured, you know what, let's just show it to you in like maybe not the best movements. You could move a little bit more ahead, but you know, sometimes you get luckier than other times. So it also depends like on the enemy movements and things like that. Right, I'm just trying to hit them up. Again, keep in mind that you're eventually going to need to take control of this whole railway. So you do want to kill the enemy units that are there. And now the enemies go. They're mostly just pushing backwards, which is really good for you. Oh, okay, one more thing though. I forgot to show you. I didn't notice that there. I have broken this bridge. You're gonna have an ability, I can't show it to you right now, but there's an ability here that allows you to destroy an enemy bridge. So at the end of the first turn, I broke the enemy bridge here, and this makes Krakow unsupplied. Because otherwise, if you look at this, Krakow gets supply from the top or from the bottom. Now I blocked it from the top with this tank, but in order to block it from the bottom, I have destroyed this bridge. Now I think they've already fixed the bridge, so at the end of their turn, or they will in a moment, they will get the supply back, but the Krakow remained unsupplied for one turn. So you're gonna see it. I don't know if they fixed the bridge yet. They fixed the bridge already. So if you, I'm gonna pause here to show you. Notice that now Krakow is back to being supplied because they fixed the bridge that I broke. But I'm going to be moving in and keeping it unsupplied for a little bit longer. This would be more beneficial if you manage to move your tanks inside and not have them kind of out here like I did. But yeah, it depends on how well it goes. So what we're doing with our tanks now is something that I was hoping to do in the previous turn, to have the tank here and then push the other tank forward so that I could move in there. But we still successfully moved this unit here, and this is very important because this means that now Krakow will remain always unsupplied. They can't fix it because I'm blocking both of the railways for Krakow. That's going to make it easier for you to hit Krakow. Now here I was trying to move towards Radom. This was actually wrong. You're going to need to move the tank down towards Lublin very quickly because you need to take Lublin before Radom. So this is an okay move because we're still on the railway, but afterwards we're going to have to really hurry towards Lublin. Right. You just always want to make sure that you're blocking the enemy so they can't step on your railway or something like that. And you want to kill up the enemies here that are standing on the railway with everything you can, essentially. So keep hitting them where you can. We're using some airstrikes and obviously some infantry. Okay, now we control the railway. That's really good. And we're going to try to destroy them completely. We'll make sure that you don't leave them there even if they're weak, because they can just step on a railway and ruin it for you. Alright. Now we control at this point both of these railways, which is super important because later on they're going to help you supply this area up here. Right. Now we're moving here towards Calais, but remember you don't necessarily need to own that area. So just kind of keep that in mind. There's no need to like go to raft there or try to, you know, do some 1-1s or 1-2s or something like that, because you would get hurt unnecessarily. You don't care about that space. What you do care about is really pushing towards Bzura and Lard. So again, you want to move your infantry and other units forward so that you could try to either use up your zone of control or somehow push forward with the mobilized units. So we can see I'm starting with the units that are more in the back, and then with the other units I could kind of fly through them and avoid some move through enemy zone of control by actually placing my units there and blocking it off. Or simply by shooting them. You can do one of those things. But you need to be close to Lodz and Bzura by the end of turn 2, because by the end of turn 4 you need to own Bzura. So and more importantly, you need to get there. It's not that hard to take it, but you need to get there. Here we keep trying to push towards Tarnov. So we're just gonna be moving up there. Yeah, you can see we're grabbing that area a little bit, which is good. And we're deploying some new units because we have them. Now I moved my HQ again. This is very important because I want to explain it. As soon as I can. Okay, pause. Okay, this is super important. You need to have your unit moving down as soon as possible because, for permission, you will need your abilities because there will be units there in the city and you will need to use things like feint attack. So you need to get your HQ lower. Up there with Warsaw, we'll have a lot of turns, so we'll just be using airstrikes and things like that to just go at it until we can destroy it. But for permission, you will need those abilities. So you want to start moving down with your HQ. Right, we'll let the enemy have their turn. They're mostly trying to protect Calais, which I don't really care about, so I'm fine with that. They can do whatever they want there. Also moving their HQ if they want. Sometimes you can get lucky and step on the enemy HQ, which can be nice because it can show you where the enemy units are. So that can be useful because it can help you sort of maneuver your mobile units around to get as close to Bzura as you can, but you won't always get that lucky, so. I'm just trying to sort of clean up in that area down there near Katowice because it will help you sort of push your infantry away because you're going to need to move with your infantry. So you want to make sure that you clean up this area so that you don't have to be afraid about some enemy units sort of like running back in and trying to steal a place, trying to stamp on your railways or unsupply you. Right. I'm going to be moving towards Bzura. And we're again just like destroying the enemy so we can move a bit more freely with the rest of our units. We are also utilizing a lot of this cornered effect. You do not get any benefit from like hitting enemy from multiple directions, but you do get benefit obviously if they're cornered, because if they cannot run anyway, then it will suppress all of their units. So that can be a really good way to kind of make sure that you hurt them significantly with an attack that would normally do a lot less damage. Right, we took over their supply. Hope this gave us extra supply to our unit, which is good. I'm standing there near Calais. I'm doing some attacks, but mostly what you want to do there is you just want to occupy them. You want to make sure they can't sort of like run somewhere where they would step on your supplies, the supply railway. So you just want to occupy them there. You don't really need to fight them too much. Now here we are moving towards Krakow with our infantry. We will eventually try to move down here towards this area with the infantry. But again, we want to clean up the units that are here first. Right, we stepped on to here, got ourselves some supply. We need to destroy this unit. Once we do that, we will have, well, actually not yet, but on the following turn, we'll own this whole railway. This is going to be really important because once we start moving our units towards Przemysl, this railway will be the only thing that will give us supply. So it's really important that you own the full supply railway. You can also get the supply here from the bottom. Actually, can you? Yeah, you can. Okay, so that works as well. But they can, if you leave a unit here, they could step into turn off and kind of ruin it for you. So make sure that you don't let that happen. Again, we got some extra units that we can use. We're moving them wherever we can. We don't really care about these extra units. Right. See, and here I started to move towards Lublin because we need to take it on turn 5. And if there's a unit there, it's going to be really difficult. So you need to start moving there with your other units to make sure that either you can take it before someone else steps in there, or you'll have multiple units there to protect yourself. Right, again, enemy turn. They're trying to protect Lodge here and Bzura as well. And here they're just like resupplying themselves, giving themselves some entrenchment. Nothing really something that you have to worry about. You don't really care. Alright, it's turn 4. At this turn you need to own both Bzura and Krakow. So we're now trying to move towards Bzura. We've managed to push them away, so we're going to step in and on Bzura. That's important. Make sure that the unit that you have on Bzura is really strong, because since this is a primary objective, if they were to take it back, it would be game over. Well, it would not be game over, but you would not have all the objectives, right? Now with this other unit, we're again trying to move towards either Lublin or a Dome, depending on where we're going to need it in the following turns. Okay, so we actually got Lublin. No one was there, so that was really important. Now we're moving with this tank up. Why? Why are we not moving down? Because Lvov is an objective we have to take. Well, that's because if we were to move it down, it would just be unsupplied and not be able to do anything. So we're instead moving it up to control this railway, and then hopefully in following turns be able to move from upwards here to connect up, or move this tank back towards Radom to give it some supply. Because for Lvov you have a lot of turns, so we don't have to worry about this just yet. Now we do want to start focusing on hitting up Lodge, because next turn on turn 5 we need to have Lodge and Lublin. We already have Lublin, but we don't have Lodge yet. We're going to focus on hitting this thing up. Right, we're destroying it. Again, as always, you want to control the railway. And ideally, we would like to push the unit in Calais a little bit further, at least like 1 hex back. We don't need to kill it, just so we could control the railway. It's not like completely necessary, you can survive without it, but it would be nice. Why can you survive without it? Just to be clear, it's because we've got this connection here, so this can give us supply, or if we have a supply hub here, for example, it could supply this area. Next, on this turn, what we need to get is Krakow, so we're going to try to attack on Krakow. Now, this bridge here is broken. We need to fix it in order to be able to move through easily, otherwise we can't move, especially we can't move the HQ down here, so we're going to need to fix this bridge as soon as we've got the HQ points for that, which we actually have immediately this turn. If you don't, then you have to do it next turn, but do it as quickly as possible because you need to move the infantry further towards Przemysl. Alright. I removed that supply because it wasn't necessary. Okay. Yeah, you can see I can't move through just yet because even though I fixed the bridge, it's going to be like fixed at the start of the next turn. So we have to kind of wait around. We're trying to hit up Lodge just to make it a bit easier for us to destroy them next turn. Doesn't really work, so it doesn't matter much. I also gave a supply hub here so that I could supply the units that are here on the left. Another supply hub is here to kind of help us out. And then the third one is here. Right, let's let the enemy have their turn. So this is a problem because of the zone of control. We won't be able to run away with the tank, which is a little bit unfortunate. But we'll handle it. I'll handle it, don't worry about it. And then move the HQ to Warsaw, that's all good. Now we're moving down towards Verdun. With this tank, like I said, it's a bit of a problem. Now we need to focus on Lodge. We got City in Ruins, which is not ideal. But remember, we don't have the HQ there, so we actually need to use airstrikes to do as much damage as possible for us. Right, now we've got corner, that's great, so it's going to be much easier for us to hit them up now. So again, it can be a good idea if you don't have engineers or any good units like that, at least try to surround them to get that cornered bonus. Now we're going to start moving forward towards Warsaw. You cannot unsupply Warsaw, let me show you, because there's a supply connection straight there towards actual Warsaw, so can't do anything there. Or towards northern Warsaw, or whatever is there. Just the point is there's a supply hub here. Okay. And again, we're just trying to move our infantry forward. Doesn't matter too much. It won't be very useful here. What I'm trying to do here is either unsupply Kalisz or destroy it so that I could own this railway, but the thing is, like, I couldn't decide if I want to unsupply it or kill it, so I'm kind of like one turn doing one thing, another turn doing another thing. We are focusing now on Radom because that's going to be important. And now we can move through here because we fixed the bridge. So as always, make sure you destroy any enemy units so they can't step on your railway. And then just move your infantry down. You want to move your infantry down so that it can help out with Przemysl. It's going to be important. You can unsupply Przemysl if you get there fast enough. So if you have a slightly better movement, maybe you're hurrying a little bit, you could try to unsupply them as well. We are a bit slow on that regard, so while we will unsupply them, we'll just only use it to like when we suppress some of the units that they can get it back, but it won't help us like to fully unsupply them like we did with Krakow, for example. We can't do that there. Alright. See, this is a problem. So they step on the supply because we weren't protecting it, so now some of our units, as you're going to be able to see, they will be unsupplied there. You'll see it when it's my turn. Again. Okay, so now let me show you. Let me show you here. Yeah, some of these units are unsupplied. Actually, I think they might have stepped on a supply hub I might have left there. Because I had a supply hub somewhere here, right? Unless I moved it. So these units are still supplied because we've got the supply here from the bottom. But I think that they might have caused these units over here to be unsupplied. It doesn't matter too much. We can just move them around, but just so you know. Now here we're moving towards Przemysl. And we would need to step on both of these railways to unsupply them. So we're just trying to take the first step with this infantry to start kind of moving. And we need to focus on Radom. Also, I moved this tank away because it's still not supplied, unfortunately. But we needed to get it away because next time they could just do like a single hit and destroy them. Now we're going to try to destroy this unit so that we could create like a filled up connection here, which would supply our tank. Also, I have added a new supply hub here, so now this tank will actually be supplied there, which is important. We're going to destroy this unit so that we can keep connection of the railway. Okay. And now we're going to be supplied, at least in this direction. So I'm going to be moving the other units kind of around to keep them supplied. Now here I'm trying to make sure that we are standing on these objectives with large and potentially, I don't know if we can do it with Zora, we'll see, with infantry, because we need the mobile units for other things. So we want to make sure infantry is the thing that's standing on these supplies. Now we're starting with Warsaw. We do have some airstrikes, so we're trying to use them up because remember, the HQ is too far, we can't use any abilities like that. Again, we're utilizing the fact that they're cornered and also, you know, using as many airstrikes as we could. And Warsaw is destroyed, we're going to step in. And this is going to give us supply to this tank here, which is good because otherwise the tank was super weak. Like otherwise it would have been destroyed immediately. And we also created this connection so that the supply hub that we've got here will help supply everything around because this is now connected. Right. We will be moving the HQ, I think, soon, also with the infantry towards Przemysl, because it's still too far. Yeah, you can see we're moving the HQ now. So it should be in range of Przemysl. Przemysl, I think is the right pronunciation. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know in the comments whether it's Przemysl or Przemysl. One of those. I think it should be Przemysl. And now, what they're doing a lot, I've noticed, is they're just trying to protect like these Kutno and these supply hubs here. Again, you do not care, so you can just keep them. What you do care about is you need to kind of position your units. This is actually not the best positioning that I've got right now, with your zone of control to make sure that they can't step on your supply. Because, for example, this unit could step here into and take away my supply, which would be bad. So you want to make sure that either your supply hubs are kind of far away from that. Yeah, like for example, the supply hub is here, so it would probably still supply the units there, but you do want to ideally move more infantry here to kind of block them with your zone of control. And you can see that the unit in Kalisz is now completely unsupplied, so we can destroy it pretty easily. Now, I believe that this turn we need to own... Radom. This time we need to take Radom. So again, we want to use as many airstrikes as we can. The HQ is still too far, so we're going to be using anything else. And now we can step in. Great. Alright. I'm moving with my German motorized unit down to help out with Przemysl, but we won't get that far anyway, I think. Maybe with one of them, I'm not sure. Okay, with the infantry, I'm trying to move down towards Love because the point is we need to unsupply them. And if we are moving, actually, let me show you the enemy supply. If we're moving through this supply, we will unsupply them. So we don't actually need to stand right here. We can just move through down. And we're going to need to take Lvov on turn 9, Przemysl on turn 8. So we only have like one turn left. One turn left for Przemysl, 2 for Lvov. So we're going to start moving there. Especially if they keep all the HQs where they are, it's going to be really difficult for you to move because you need extra movement points to step on an HQ. Now, because we now know that Przemysl is unsupplied, we can start using things like feint attack, because if we suppress their units, they will remain suppressed because they can't resupply them. So that's why we want to also move the HQ there. That's why I want to sort of start hitting them where I can. I'm gonna just destroy this unit in Kalisz. This will allow some of my other units to maybe level up or get more XP, and finally we'll control the railway, which took us like forever, but you know. So now we can start moving the infantry to sort of protect our railway in this general area. Yeah, as you can see, we're trying to do a little bit better here in this protection. Alright. We're doing as much damage to Przemysl as we can, because like I said, they can't resupply, so just do what you can. Again, they're keeping like a front there, which is fine. You don't care. They can keep good now. It's alright. They moved the HQ, which is actually really good for us. Otherwise, it would take us probably an extra turn to get there. So this was actually quite beneficial to us. So we can immediately take Lava with the unit. That's actually quite weak, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Otherwise, you do have one more turn for it, so we could use the tanks and things like that after destroy Premishal. Then we have to use all our airstrike and everything else that we've got at Premishal. And yeah, they finally moved away, so now we can step in, resupply ourselves, and we move there with another unit. Right, and now we're down. So we've got one turn left to spare. Now I'm just using, like, when I have like 0-2 attacks and things like that, that's kind of what I'm using at this point. To just, you know, try to level up some of my units, things like that. And that's it. You have to let them have their turn before it's over. Alright, and we're victorious. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, write down in the comments. And you can click on the right to watch the next video. I'll see you there. Bye bye!